Let's look a little more in depth at some of the 3D options inside of Adobe Illustrator. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and pick a fill color, which I've already got. And we'll go get a shape tool. In this case, let's take the star tool, and I'm going to go ahead and drag a star out onto the workspace. From there, we'll go to Effect, 3D, and we will go to Extrude and Bevel. And that extrudes it, makes it deeper, so it's three-dimensional. From here, there's a couple options we didn't look at before, one of which is the cap option. Currently, the cap option is turned on, which is why this object looks solid. If we go ahead and turn the cap option off, you can see that it makes that become hollow. Even if we go ahead and increase the extrude depth to make that longer, you can see that as we rotate the object, it's still hollow. So the cap option will make it appear as if it's solid or not. You've also, let's go ahead and decrease that size, go back in there again, have a bevel option. And there's several different types of bevel, but you can bevel the edges of the object to make it appear a little different. So let's just go through a few of those just to show examples of what they do. It's got several different options that you can use in the bevel. Let's go ahead and delete that, and now we will swap this to the stroke color by hitting that arrow, and take the pencil tool and then create some sort of object. Let's once again imagine the edge of a bowl. Go ahead and go to Effect, 3D, and into Revolve. And that will revolve the object. Let's go ahead and revolve the right edge. And we've got some sort of a bowl. One of the options to point out here is the offset. Now, since this is being pinned on basically the right edge, so this point here, and everything is spinning around that, if we increase the offset, it's going to basically put a hole in that spot where it's pinning. The larger the offset, the larger that hole will be, and the object grows as well. And then one last 3D object or option to look at is rotate. And that will basically allow you to rotate an object or text in 3D space. So if you go to Effect, 3D, Rotate, you can use the preset positions, or you can drag this, but it will basically just change the perspective in space. Now, one last thing to show is how to vectorize a raster graphic. Maybe you want to use a photo as a symbol to map to something. So let's look at how you would do something like that. So once again, let's quickly go in, take the pencil tool, and draw some sort of bowl. So I'm going to take the stroke color. So I'm going to deselect the fill color, and for the stroke color, go ahead and pick a color. With that being done, once again, we're going to just imagine the outside edge of a bowl or something like that. Go ahead and go to Effect, 3D, and we'll revolve. Change that to the right edge, and we've got some sort of bowl that looks good, and we'll hit OK from there. Next thing we need to do is bring in the object that we want to use as mapped art. I've already went ahead on the internet and saved a graphic. So all we need to do here is go to File, and we're going to place that into this document. So we're going to go in, here's the image, I'm going to go ahead and place it. And if I click that, you can see, right, this somewhat resembles a vector graphic to start with, but it is a raster graphic. As you can see, there are some sort of pixelated edges. And just to maybe demonstrate that a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and take the zoom tool here and just start zooming in. And you can see it breaks up, you can see the pixels in it. So this is a raster graphic. So in order to change a raster graphic into a vector graphic, when you bring it into Illustrator, you select it, and then you're going to go to Window, and then down to Image Trace. Okay, you can also do that in the Properties panel if you select it, and you come down to Image Trace here. That will give you some options. So let's go and hit High Fidelity Photo, and you can see there's several options. and that's going to go ahead and image trace that and try to make it look as close as it can to the original. If you click the box here, it's going to give you all the options for that, but let's go ahead and look at that. So if I take that and I zoom in now, you can see it's actually broken up into bands of color. There are no longer those pixels. This is now a vector graphic and can be scaled larger or smaller without losing any quality. So in addition to this high quality photo or high fidelity photo, there are other things, right? Maybe we want to make this 6 colors only, and you can see that turns it into 6 colors, or maybe we want 16 colors. But once you get it to the spot that you like, I'm going to actually increase this. Let's try maybe 24 colors. And it's a vector graphic that you like. You can then use this to map to your 3D object. So you can go ahead and get it where you want it. Once it's there, you can then once again go to the symbols panel. If you can't find the symbols panel, let's go ahead and actually shrink this down just a bit. Go to Window, go into Symbols, and that will open up. And you need to take the graphic that you want to use and drag it and drop it into the Symbols panel. Give it a name. We'll make it a graphic, and we'll hit OK, and that will now, looks like we have to expand that before we make it into a symbol, which is great. So we'll go ahead and select this. We're going to go to, where's it at? Come up here and go to Object, and we're going to go to Expand. Hit OK, and that should now be expanded. We should be good to go. You should now be able to drag that, drop it into the Symbols panel, give it a name, make it a graphic, hit OK, and that will now live inside of the Symbols panel. So now, if we select our 3D graphic, go back into 3D Revolve, and go into Map Art, we can then decide the surface, like we did before, of where we want to place that. Maybe there, and then we're going to go find the graphic that we want to use. And you can see that's on the inside of the bowl, so that's not it. We're going to go ahead and clear that. It's probably that one then, so we'll go ahead and hit that graphic again. And you can see I need to actually make this larger, which I'll do in just a moment. So let's go ahead and escape this. We're going to go ahead and select the bowl, just because that part of it is not long enough for what we're trying to do here. So we're going to take all of these points and drag them down, make this bowl nice and tall. So we'll select that, go back into 3D Revolve, go into Map Art. That could be it. Let's try that. Once again, that's on the inside, so we'll clear it. And there it is. So now we can actually move this around, and we can actually get this to map completely around that bowl, or we could size it and put it just in the location where we wanted it to be. Trying to have it match the lighting and color by choosing Shade and Artwork, and hit OK. And that's how you would take a photograph or a raster graphic and vectorize it to use to map onto your 3D objects.